There comes a moment in every person's life when the world goes silent and the voice within begins to speak. It's not loud, it's not urgent, but it's undeniable. It whispers from somewhere beyond logic and fear, and it says, "You were not born to be average, not to suffer quietly in mediocrity, not to beg life for breadcrumbs, not to trade your brilliance for safety and your dreams for excuses. Number, you were born to command this life, to mold it in your image, to bend circumstance to your will, to shape a vision so powerful that even doubt bows in your presence. But first, you must awaken the mindset of wealth, not just money, but true wealth. The mindset of unstoppable purpose, of radical self-belief, of calculated action. The mindset that built empires out of rubble and legends out of ordinary men. This is not a motivational speech, it's a mirror, and it's about to show you everything you could be, if you dare to become it. Because the truth is simple. Wealth does not come to the lucky. It does not answer the call of comfort. It waits, it tests you, and it only bows to those who earn it, in mind, in spirit, and in relentless movement. So listen closely. The journey doesn't begin when you take your first step. It begins the moment you decide who you are. Every fortune ever built started in the mind of one who refused to see limits. When Andrew Carnegie stood in the steel mills of Pittsburgh, surrounded by sweat and soot, he did not see labor. He saw leverage. When Henry Ford looked at the horse-drawn streets of Detroit, he didn't see congestion. He saw revolution. Their secret was not money, not privilege, not luck. It was mental clarity fueled by unshakable belief. They demanded more of life because they demanded more of themselves. They understood that wealth was first built in the invisible architecture of thought. Thoughts that defied convention. Thoughts that declared, "I will, no matter what." And that is where your journey must begin. Not in strategy, but in identity. Because no tactic can save the one who sees themselves as small. No blueprint will work for the one who believes they are undeserving. You will only rise as high as the image you hold of yourself. And most people, they are starving at the banquet of life because in their mind, they see themselves as beggars. But you are not most people. The moment you choose to see yourself as the architect of your fate, you take back every ounce of power you've given away. You take it from the past, from the failures, from the voices that said you'll never make it. You rip it back from doubt, from delay, from the identity you've outgrown. And you reclaim the truth that your mind is the workshop of the gods. What you build in it becomes the shape of your destiny. But a powerful mind is not given. It is forged through awareness, through intention, through the constant, ruthless discipline to choose thoughts that serve your future, not your fear. There is a law, ancient, immutable, as real as gravity. You become what you believe, not what you wish, not what you pretend. What you believe in the marrow of your bones to be true. You want wealth? You must believe at the core that you are worthy of it, that you are capable of it, that it is not a fantasy, it is your birthright. And belief, real belief, is not some blind hope. It is built. It is earned. It is trained, the same way a warrior sharpens a blade. Every day, the world will try to convince you otherwise. It will show you struggle. It will show you scarcity. It will say, stay small, stay safe, stay silent. But you weren't made to stay. You were made to soar. And belief, that inner fire, is your wings. Edison didn't invent the light bulb because he thought it would be easy. He believed it was necessary. And because he believed, he tried 10,000 times. Lincoln didn't lead a fractured nation because it was convenient. He believed in something greater than his own comfort. Belief doesn't remove the obstacle. It reframes it. It says, "This wall is not here to stop me. It's here to show me how badly I want it." When you believe, truly believe, every barrier becomes a test, not a tombstone. Every delay becomes preparation. Every failure becomes fuel. You begin to see what others can't. Not just what is, but what can be, and what must be. You stop asking, "Can I?" and start declaring, "I will." Because belief, once fully awakened, makes you unstoppable. And the world, no matter how loud, no matter how cold, cannot argue with the fire of a soul that has decided. A man without vision is a ship lost at sea, tossed by waves, driven by winds he cannot control. But the man of vision, he becomes the storm. Vision is not fantasy, it is focus. It is the ability to see beyond what is, and hold your eyes fixed on what must become. Disney stood in a swamp in Florida and saw a kingdom. Jobs looked at a plastic box and saw the future of communication. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't need applause. They saw what others mocked and built it anyway. Why? Because their vision was not just clear, it was consuming. And if you want to master the mindset of wealth, your vision must become your compass. You must become obsessed with where you're going. So obsessed that failure isn't fatal, it's fuel. So clear that every distraction, every detour, every doubt that shows up becomes invisible. Because your eyes are locked on the outcome. You don't negotiate with mediocrity. You don't entertain thoughts of quitting. You don't let the noise pull you from the path. Your vision is your command center. It tells your mind what to filter. It tells your energy where to go. It becomes the lens through which you interpret everything. Without vision, you'll chase 1,000 ideas and master none. You'll chase money, but never meaning. You'll react to life, but never lead it. But with vision, everything changes. You know who you are. You know what you want. And more importantly, you know what you're not willing to accept anymore. Vision isn't what you see. It's what you believe is possible, even when nothing around you reflects it yet. And when you lock into that, the universe starts to respond. Doors open. People appear. Coincidences become patterns. Because life does not respond to need, responds to certainty. And vision is the highest form of certainty a human being can possess. There is a force more powerful than talent, more enduring than motivation, more explosive than strategy. It is purpose. Purpose is not a slogan. It's not a feel-good quote on your wall. It is the reason you rise when most people sleep. It is the fire that burns through fatigue, through ridicule, through failure. It is the why behind your every move. And when it's real, it makes you unbreakable. You can see it in the eyes of those who refuse to give up, in the quiet defiance of the one who's been beaten down 9 times and still shows up for round 10. You think Rockefeller built an empire just for the money? Think Carnegie turned steel into power just for status? Number, they were called. And that calling became obsession. And that obsession became legacy. When you have purpose, money becomes a tool, not a master. Obstacles become steps, not walls. Your mission becomes bigger than your fear, louder than your excuses, and more urgent than your comfort. Without purpose, you'll chase goals that mean nothing. You'll burn out in pursuit of applause, not progress. You'll rise fast and fall faster because you weren't anchored. But with it, you become a force of nature. You stop running from pain and start using it. You stop asking for signs and become one. Purpose turns your work into a war cry. It makes mediocrity unbearable. It makes you dangerous to anyone who dares try to keep you small. Because a man with purpose can't be bought. He can't be broken. He can't be stopped. So ask yourself, what sets your soul on fire? What would you bleed for? What would you build for? Even if no one clapped, no one noticed, and no one helped? Find that. Hold on to it with every fiber of your being. And don't let anything, not fear, not failure, not time, pry it from your hands. Because wealth is not attracted to the one who wants. It's attracted to the one who knows why. Dreams are cheap. Discipline is priceless. Every person alive wants success, but only the disciplined demand it. Discipline is not a punishment. It is the purest form of self-respect. It says, I will no longer betray my potential. I will no longer wait for the world to choose me. I choose myself. And it is in those quiet moments, when no one's watching, when no one's applauding, that discipline is forged. When your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and your body says no, discipline says, get up anyway. When distractions seduce you, when the world tries to sell you comfort in exchange for your calling, discipline says, not today. This is what separates the average from the unstoppable. Not talent, not luck, but the grit to keep showing up when it's hard, when it's boring, when it feels like nothing is working. Discipline turns chaos into clarity. It takes the overwhelming mountain of ambition and breaks it into bricks, laid one after another, day after day. And brick by brick, empires rise. Walt Disney? Rejected by banks over 300 times. But he kept building, kept moving. Discipline. Oprah Winfrey. Fired. Told she was unfit for television. But she kept showing up. Discipline. You want wealth? Don't ask what you need to start doing. Ask what you're willing to do without fail, even when you're tired, even when it's thankless, even when it hurts. That's the price. And the moment you stop negotiating with your goals, the moment you stop waiting to feel like it, you start becoming something most people will never be. Consistent. And consistency, not intensity, is what separates the dreamer from the doer, the talker from the titan, the one who hopes from the one who has. Discipline doesn't just build wealth, it builds you. Action is the language the universe understands, not intentions, not wishes, not vision boards or perfect plans. Action. Real. Messy. Immediate. Imperfect. Because wealth doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't care about your fear or your excuses. It rewards the one who moves. Too many people die in the waiting room of life, waiting for clarity, for motivation, for someone to save them. But nothing changes until you act. And the most successful people in the world? They act before they're ready. They jump before they know how to fly. Because they understand that movement creates momentum, and momentum opens doors that planning never will. Look at Thomas Edison. He didn't wait until he had the perfect invention. He failed, again and again, because he was in motion. Ford didn't wait for the world to believe in automobiles. He built them anyway. Why? Because action is a magnet. It draws opportunity. It builds confidence. It silences fear, not with logic, but with evidence. And here's the truth most people never face. You will never think your way into wealth. You must move your way into it. Act. Adjust. Act again. Don't aim for perfect. Aim for progress. Success doesn't come from waiting for the right mood. It comes from creating it. And every day you take bold, deliberate action. You separate yourself from the masses. Because most people are stuck in their minds. You're building your future with your hands, your sweat, your steps. Let others talk about what they want. You go get it. Now listen closely, Because this part is what most ambitious people miss. Gratitude is not a weakness. It is a weapon. Gratitude isn't about settling. It's about recognizing your power. When you're truly grateful, not just in words, but in awareness, you elevate your state. And in a higher state, you make better decisions. You attract better people. You take more empowered action. Gratitude is the lens that shows you just how much you already have. Not to stop striving, but to fuel it with a sense of overflow, not lack. When you move from lack, you chase. When you move from gratitude, you command. Look at the wealthiest minds in history. They weren't just obsessed with building. They were thankful. Deeply, consistently, powerfully thankful for the chance to build. Because they understood, the universe expands for the grateful and contracts for the entitled. Every time you say thank you, not to impress but to feel it, you tune your mind to abundance. You start seeing opportunity in failure. You find lessons in pain. You feel rich long before the world reflects it. And that's the real secret. Most people wait to be grateful after they succeed. But the greats? They're grateful before the victory. And that's what brings the victory faster. You want wealth? Be thankful in advance. Thankful for the opportunity, for the growth, for the battle. Because that energy, that frequency, it changes everything. Let me tell you a harsh truth. The world owes you nothing. It does not care how talented you are, how hard you worked yesterday, or how detailed your plan is. It only rewards the one who can adapt. Because life is a moving target. And those who cling to old ways, old thoughts, old identities, they vanish. You want to build wealth? You better learn how to bend without breaking. You better learn how to pivot when the path crumbles, how to reinvent yourself when the old version stops working, how to move through the storm, not hide from it. The history books are filled with the names of people who couldn't adapt. They had vision, once. They had success, for a moment. But they got comfortable. They stopped learning. They clung to what used to work, while the world moved on without them. But the ones who rise again, the ones who last, they're shapeshifters. They're students of change. They welcome the unexpected because they know every challenge is a chance to upgrade. Think of Netflix, born in the age of DVDs, and yet now a global streaming titan. Why? Because they weren't married to a method. They were loyal to the mission, but flexible with the model. Be like that. Stay obsessed with the vision, but stay fluid in the execution. Do not fear change. Become friends with it. Because the man who resists change stays in the past. The one who adapts, he owns the future, and in a world moving faster than ever, adaptability is not optional. It is profit. It is survival. It is the edge that separates the forgotten from the formidable. Don't be the person who says, "But this worked before." Be the one who asks, "What works now? What's next?" Because wealth doesn't just follow discipline, it follows evolution. If you remember nothing else from this journey, remember this. You will fall. You will be rejected. You will be laughed at. You will build something with your whole heart, only to watch it collapse. And still, you must rise. Resilience is not glamour. It's not applause. It's what happens after the spotlight turns off. When you're alone, bleeding, tired, and still whisper to yourself, "I'm not done." Because every single legend you admire, from Lincoln to Disney to Jobs, they all got hit. Hard, and still got back up. Lincoln lost elections. Disney went bankrupt. Jobs was fired from his own company. But pain didn't stop them. It forged them. You don't build strength and success. You build it when everything goes wrong, and you choose to keep going anyway. Resilience is what wealth respects most, because the journey to wealth is not clean, it's brutal. It will test every part of you, your courage, your faith, your patience. But every time you get back up, you send a message to yourself, to life. You can't break me. And that's when life starts to move. That's when wealth begins to trust you. Because you've shown you're not a tourist, you're a builder. Not a talker, a warrior. Pain is not your enemy. It's your teacher, your gym, your final exam. Get hit? Get up. Fall down? Get up. Betrayed? Get up again. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be the one who won't stay down. Because the world doesn't need more talented people. It needs more resilient ones. The final piece, the most underrated weapon, the one thing that multiplies everything you've built? Learning. Not education. Not degrees. Not parroting what others say. But hungry, obsessive, relentless learning. The world changes. Fast. And the one who stops learning starts losing. The wealthy don't just work harder, they learn faster. They read, listen, question, challenge. They study the moves of others and then rewrite the game. Carnegie surrounded himself with thinkers. He read. He asked. He learned. Benjamin Franklin? A self-taught polymath who became wealthy not by inheritance, but by inquiry. You must become a student of life. Study money. Study people. Study yourself. Study what works and what doesn't, and never assume you've arrived. The moment you think you know enough, that's the moment you begin to rot. But when you keep learning, you stay alive. Your ideas stay sharp. Your strategies stay fresh. Your confidence becomes rooted in truth, not ego. Every book you read adds a brick. Every mentor you seek adds a blueprint. Every mistake you analyze adds a weapon. And learning doesn't just prepare you, it protects you. From arrogance, from ignorance, from being left behind. So never stop. Not when you succeed, especially not when you fail. Because information is everywhere. But transformation? That comes only to the humble enough to learn. So here you are. No more secrets. No more illusions. You've heard the call. Not from me, but from the place inside you that always knew. The place that doesn't want survival. It wants significance. And now, the choice stands before you like a gate. One path, the easy one, leads to comfort, excuses, and regret. The other, it leads to wealth, to meaning, to the life your soul remembers, even if your mind forgot. But the price is everything. You must become the master of your mind, the captain of your belief, the visionary with purpose, the soldier of discipline, the warrior of action, the alchemist of gratitude, the shapeshifter of change, the beast of resilience, the eternal student of truth. You must burn down the version of you that's settled and rise, fire-forged, relentless, undeniable. Wealth is not coming. It's waiting. Waiting for the day you stop watching and start willing. Waiting for the moment you stop doubting and start deciding. Waiting for you to stop running from the fire and step into it. Because inside that fire is where the old you dies. And the mastermind is born. Now go. Earn it. Build it. Become it. Your wealth isn't in the world. It's in you. And now, you know exactly how to bring it out.